Welcome to the deep dive.
Hey there.
So, today we're going to talk about something pretty practical, especially if you're thinking about Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, specifically apartment sizes, right?
Exactly. What's the typical square footage you might find? We're looking at apartmentneighborhoods.com for this.
Good source for this kind of thing.
Yeah, and the goal here is really just to, quickly get a feel for what's average in Charlotte and maybe what that means if you're hunting for a rental.
Right. Because knowing that average size, it's actually a really crucial starting point.
How so?
Well, it kind of gives you a baseline, doesn't it? Like how much space you'll actually have. Helps you figure out what furniture fits, maybe even impacts your budget thinking.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So apartmentneighborhoods.com, it's got tons of listings. We didn't run a full statistical analysis or anything.
No, no, just browsing, really.
Right. But even just browsing, you start to see patterns. Like Uptown Charlotte looks like maybe one bedrooms often fall in the 650 to 750 square foot range? Something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right for the real downtown core. You know, denser areas, space is usually tighter.
Premium locations, smaller space.
Exactly. You're paying for that walkability, the amenities close by. But then, if you look a bit further out,
Like South End or Noda.
yeah, precisely. You start seeing those one bedrooms get, well, a bit bigger, maybe creeping up into the 800s, sometimes even 900, 950 square feet.
Oh, wow. That's actually a pretty big
It
difference.
really is. Almost like adding a small office or den sometimes.
And the cool thing on the website is how you can often see the floor plans.
Mm-hmm. Side by side sometimes.
Yeah. So you can really visualize that difference, not just see the number. Compare a place in Uptown to one in South End, maybe for a similar price.
And it forces you to think about priorities. Like,
Mhm.
do you want that extra space, or is being right in the middle of everything more important?
Totally.
And those website filters are key here. You can obviously sort by neighborhood, but also number of bedrooms. And when you do that, it's interesting. Even in the same neighborhood, a studio might average, say, 500 square feet.
Tiny.
Well, cozy. But then a two-bedroom in that same building or area could easily jump over 1,100 square feet.
Okay, so there's a huge range depending on what you're actually looking for.
A massive range. The site just helps make that concrete. You see the numbers, see the layouts.
So, yeah, if you're picturing yourself living in Charlotte, this data really it gets you thinking strategically.
For sure.
Like maybe that smaller downtown spot is perfect if you're never home anyway.
Right, always out and about.
But if you work from home or you've got hobbies that need space,
Then those slightly larger places, maybe a bit further from the absolute center, start looking really attractive.
okay, so bottom line for someone actually in the market looking right now.
I mean, the takeaway is that apartmentneighborhoods.com is a really solid tool for understanding the Charlotte market just by looking at sizes.
Sets expectations.
Exactly. Sets realistic expectations for what's typical in the areas you care about. And seeing those floor plans helps you imagine, like, living there, beyond just a number.
So, key point. Want to get a handle on average apartment square footage in Charlotte? Check out apartmentneighborhoods.com. It's going to give you a much clearer picture,
Definitely beats just guessing.
for sure.
And maybe a final thought as you're clicking around on there. Think about how that average size you're seeing lines up with your life right now.
Yeah, like could my stuff actually fit?
Right. And how does that square footage affect other things? Your budget for furniture, maybe,
Hmm.
heating and cooling costs. It's all connected.
It's a really fundamental piece of the puzzle when you're choosing a place.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dive into the site, explore those Charlotte neighborhoods, and see what you find.